Tommy with Elevation Every Weekend. Welcome back to the channel. This Crestone is the flagship full carbon fat bike offered by Borealis Fat Bikes. In this first look video, I'm going to go over and show you this bike's design features and part spec in detail, ahead of more videos yet to come regarding the actual performance of this bike in a variety of conditions. But first, a few quick details on the company itself. Borealis is the only bike company I'm aware of that is fully dedicated to fat bikes only, and they've been doing it for over 10 years now. As their website is fatbike.com, you know that means they were in the segment really early. They also have the distinction of being the first company to produce a carbon fat bike for sale. And that's when other early entries in the market were dealing with steel and aluminum. Borealis actually still has fat bike number 1, which to this day is hanging in their lobby entryway, and I got to see it when I visited their facility recently. As fat biking has progressed over the years, Borealis has expanded their fat bike range and product offerings. And they also have the distinction of being a longtime title sponsor of the Fat Bike Worlds. So it's safe to say the people at Borealis are dedicated to fat biking. Steve, the owner of Borealis, reached out to me in late 2022, and as a result of that led me to having the opportunity to review this Crestone you see here, provided by Borealis. So let's go ahead and dive into this particular Crestone and learn about the design and features of this bike. And not to give away any spoilers, I have actually ridden this bike a little bit in the snow, and it does not disappoint. But that's definitely a topic for a future video, so definitely subscribe now if you'd like to follow along and see how this bike performs. So first, let's get into some general features of the Crestone. Borealis says the Crestone is designed for all-around use, and the geometry is optimized for riding in snow and sand. This particular bike is a size large, has a head tube angle of 70 degrees, a seat tube angle of 73 degrees, a reach of about 437 millimeters, and a chainstay length of about 459 millimeters. Generally speaking, I'm not one to get too sidetracked on the geo chart. I really judge the bike on how it actually rides and performs in a variety of conditions. But I will point out that steeper 70-degree head tube angle is kind of against the current trends to going more slack. On the upside, what it does is it keeps a little more of your weight over the front tire, which is something that's generally desirable in soft snow and sand. The Crestone frame can clear a 29 by 3 inch tire, a 27.5 by 4.5 inch tire, or a 26 by 5 inch tire on an 85 millimeter wide wheel. So while it is a lightweight, performance-oriented fat bike, it can still take the full max volume tires that are on the market. The Borealis frame is also compatible with a number of suspension fork options, and I actually do have a Mastodon fork that I will be fitting to this bike at a later date for further testing. The frame features internal cable routing, and that includes for the dropper seat post as well. It has 2 full-size bottle cage mounts inside the triangle, and another bottle cage mount on the bottom bracket side of the down tube, along with some heavy-duty frame protection near the bottom bracket and on the drive side chainstay. One of the things for me that's not a deal breaker, but I love to see, is that this is a threaded bottom bracket. This bike has the full carbon rigid Borealis fork, and you can even see the raw carbon coming through on the stem. It comes with Borealis branded 35 millimeter carbon handlebars, aluminum flat pedals, and the Borealis branded saddle and stem. The base build on the Crestone gets a carbon seat post as well. However, this one is spec'd with a 150 millimeter KS dropper seat post, which leads me to the full build spec on this bike. So this bike you see here is a high spec build, but before I get into that, I just want to take an opportunity to highlight this green and silver paint scheme. It's one of the most interesting and stunning paint jobs I've ever seen on a bike. The subtleties of it are difficult to pick up on camera, but in sunlight, especially to the naked eye, the marbled metallic finish really pops. So back to the build spec on this bike. As I did say, it is on the high-end side. It is a full SRAM XX1 1x12 Eagle drivetrain, which looks absolutely stunning and really does save some weight. And I can't wait to get it out and put it to the test, especially compared to my experience with NX and GX drivetrains. As for brakes, this bike has SRAM G2 RS brakes with a 180 millimeter rotor up front and 160 in the rear. The other major upgrade on this bike are the wheels, as it features the 26 by 85 millimeter head big deal full carbon wheel. And this wheel set is also built with Hope hubs and fitted with Terrain 4.6 inch wide cake eater tires. So this bike, as you see, it comes in at around $5,800 and weighs in at just under 25 pounds tubeless. However, this same bike in the most basic build spec comes in right at $2,800, the only upcharge being adding a set of pedals. And even at that price point, this bike still comes in under 27.5 pounds setup tubeless. As for building or speccing out your own Borealis fat bike, Borealis has about the coolest and most customer-focused website out there. Whether you have a specific desired weight target in mind and budget's not really a big consideration, or you are in a very specific budget, as most of us are, and you want to get the best mix of parts to match the budget and the weight, the website gives you tremendous flexibility to spec the bike to meet your needs. And right now you can customize your build and still get your bike in just a matter of days. And this is compared to most of the competition where they have a single build spec or a few very specific build specs at various price points, which means you may need to compromise on the bike you get and or still incur more costs on your own end to upgrade it after you've purchased it. So now that I've shown you the bike and kind of given you a higher level overview of the bike, I'm going to be doing some long-term testing in a variety of conditions from high mountain snow to single track trail and other general ride characteristics. I'm also going to be putting it to the test with these 26-inch wheels, a set of 27.5 wheels, and a set of 29 plus wheels. And again, I'll be mixing in that Mastodon front suspension fork as well. So as I summarize this video, let me just give you a couple quick pros and cons of the Borealis Crestone. One of the most noticeable things about Borealis bikes are the lightweight. They seem to easily outperform the competition on the weight scale at every price point, if that's something that matters to you. Another pro is the huge range of customized options you have when ordering a bike. And while this is more of a subjective statement, I do think the bike does have stunning good looks and great attention to detail in the design and the features. And if you go on the website and play with the bike builder, you'll find at pretty much any price point you're working at with the Borealis Crestone, it'll weigh less and outperform on part spec compared to a lot of the competition. On the con side, about the only thing I can highlight that may be a deal breaker for some people is this bike does not have plentiful mounts for bike packing. So more specifically, it does not have any mounts on the rear for a bike rack, and it doesn't include any mounts on the rigid carbon fork. I will say these days there are ample and plentiful options for bag and handlebar packing options. So for most people, I don't think the lack of mounts is going to be a huge barrier unless you're one of the small percentage of the population doing something that really does require every possible mounting option available. And in my own experience, I never used the fork mounts on my other bikes that have them anyways, but this will be highly subjective and something I will look into more in the full review of this bike. So if you found this video helpful, please drop a like down below. As mentioned, I'm going to be testing this bike in a variety of configurations and conditions, from mountain snow to single track trail and everything in between. And just a little bit of a teaser, I also have the lower price aluminum framed Borealis Flume on hand as well. I'll be doing a similar series of videos on that bike too if they're not already up. So subscribe to the channel now if you don't want to miss any of my future reviews and findings on these bikes. And if you have any questions, suggestions on testing, or anything to add from your own experience, definitely drop those down in the comments below. It's going to be a very busy fat bike focused spring, so stay tuned. Thanks a lot and have a great day.